we have absolute incredible weather. We're going to try and get as much wind into this microphone as humanly possible here today. I know it's great to hear all that, and it's great to see all of you. I'm honored, humbled, and everything in between to have an amazing panel here to talk to you about something that's passionate to me and hopefully passionate to anyone inside the wealth management industry who's looking to obviously grow their business, and the way you do that is by building a successful brand. And everybody on this stage here has managed to accomplish that. And what I want to do is have you walk away today hearing some of the things that they had to deal with, where their moments of achievement lied, and what they think moving forward they need to do to continue having that success, so that all of you can walk away here today, hopefully with that nugget of information around branding and marketing and how to better your practices and selves through some of the stories that they have here today. So what I'd like to do is for everyone just to introduce themselves real quickly. You guys can do that a lot better than I can reading off this. So why don't we do just a real quick intro. We want names, we want what you do, and tell our audience about yourselves a little bit. Start with you, George.
All right, is this thing on? Okay, cool. So my name is George Achimpong. I own an RA firm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Been in the industry for 7 years. And, I just have a mission and goal of helping more people of color build wealth. Our goal is to help 100,000 people of color achieve their first $1 million in net worth over the next decade. And I have to build a massive brand in order to do that. So that's the short version of it.
Awesome. So congrats on your success. Mick, tell us about what you've been up to and what you're all about.
Cool. My name is Mick Batiski. I don't use my last name much because you can't really say it. I'm a DJ first and foremost. I actually DJ'd.
That's the branding right there. Drop the last name, just go with the first name.
Yeah, I'm lucky my name's Mick. If it was like Joe, it would work. There's not a lot of Micks. Mick
they
Jagger's
hate this
like
one
100.
simple trick, guys.
So, the one name thing is a good move. But yeah, so I was fortunate enough to actually play last night for the opening party for this, which was really cool. There was a rainbow, if anybody was there. I've never DJ'd under a rainbow before. It was kind of awesome. And my career kind of like turned to a bunch of other things. So I do a lot of like startup investing and advising. And you got to be careful saying advisor here, because everyone's like you're like real advisors.
Yeah. What are you advising, Music Man?
Like just complete bullshit. I don't know anything about finances. That's why I'm here. And
but you're successful in doing it. And
so yeah, I just skip that part of my story. Yeah.
We'll keep you. It's okay.
All right. Thank you.
Sandra, welcome to the stage.
I am a PR and branding consultant with Gabriel PR. My firm is actually merging with 2 other agencies, so that's great news.
Congratulations.
And, we're all about telling a story. Branding is not so much about the visuals, it's more about the vision. So we work with clients to help them establish their story, establish their brand. What are the ongoing communications in terms of social media or your website or events? And just making it all strategic. It's about strategic relationships.
That's awesome. So a really good view here of both inside, outside, and someone who's a professional as far as building brands go. I can't be happier to have the 3 of you up here. For those of you who don't know, I'm Douglas Bonaparte. I'm the president and founder of Bonafide Wealth, and I'm addicted to the internet. All right, so look, behind every successful story, there's usually trials and tribulations, failures, frustrations, and ultimately aha moments, right? And this is something I want to explore with each of you. And I want to know, take us back a little bit, take us to maybe it could be the struggle, it could be the epiphany, it could be that one thing you did differently that opened your idea to the thing that you've become today, that success. Sandra, let's start with you, because you have a unique view of all this. You not only have built your own brand, but you help people do that. It's Inception-esque here, right? Right? It's very crazy. Yeah. Walk us through that story. Pick anyone. You guys wanted surprises. I didn't tell them the question. I gave them the option. Let them know what the questions were. Just roll with it. They all categorically chose to roll with it. It's all. Calculate Sharpe ratio. Thank you. Okay. See, they work. Yeah, finance jokes. That would only work here. Sandra, take it away. Bring us through one of those particular moments early on when you were figuring it all out.
Yeah, so I started my business 17 years ago, and I always had these dreams of grandeur, growing this huge agency.
Dream big, love it.
Yeah, serve multiple industries and different types of clients. We ended up getting a lot more personal brand clients. So clients that wanted to build their name within an organization, because that's a really great way to build that strategic relationship. And our struggle was always, especially in the Black community, finding clients who had the budget to be able to afford a proper branding program. But being the resourceful person that I am, it was all about finding a way within what the client had to be able to bring that brand forward. So now we're about educating clients on finding different sources of funding. Collaborating is huge.
That's awesome.
If you think you're going to do it on your own, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
Nice.
If you're growing a huge agency, you have to collaborate. You have to come together with different people. And so it's just become more about educating clients because they come in and they're like, I need this, I need that, I need it by tomorrow. Why do you need it by tomorrow? Can we do it for next year? Sometimes it's about talking them off the ledge, and that was always a struggle, telling them that their way is not necessarily the best way. It's about doing the research, and I'm not even saying my way is the best way. Once I do the research, then I know for sure other agencies or other businesses in your category actually do it this way.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I need a brand tomorrow, because truthfully, if I'm building a brand for you and it's going to take me 2 weeks, I'm not doing a good job.
Right.
You know, I'm just kind of trying to rush something out there so that you would be happy, but truthfully, you're trying to build a big empire. You're trying to do something bigger than what you're doing now. So it makes sense to take the time, make whatever investment you need to make, and make those connections. Strategic relationships are going to be, it's going to mark the success of your business, the people that you collaborate with. Again, it's not about you doing it alone. It's about finding those people that can help you in building what you're building.
That's awesome, and I love that because you made the market for yourself, and you figured that out through economies of scale, collaboration, kind of splitting things up into a digestible way. So for people who maybe didn't have that budget originally, now could. And there's your takeaway on that one, guys. You know, if you're going at this alone and you need strength in numbers, you can find numbers. They're all around you right here, and that's why we're doing this, right? You can just look to your right, look to your left, say, hey, what do you do really well? I need help doing that. Let's do something together.
Absolutely.
Give you a call.
Yeah.
Let's work backwards here. Mick, how about you? Maybe give me the break. I want the breakthrough moment, or the moment you said, okay, it's working. You know, what I have done has finally reached the point of this machine is going to work.
Sure.
Such a cool moment.
You know, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's interesting. So it's funny you make the joke about like my name, because it's like when I started DJing, I DJed in college, and then I DJed to like pay for grad school, but I didn't think of it. In the late 90s, early 2000s, DJing wasn't a career. Like, they laughed at me in grad school. My teachers were like, you're a loser. You can't do this. Like, this is not going to work. It worked. But like, I got lucky because like culture and DJing and tech and everything kind of like caught up in the mid 2000s, and
Yeah.
you know, things that weren't cool were now able to, you know, sustain existences. And so I didn't realize, though, like what my path was until about seven years ago, meaning that I went to school and got all this like.
Real quick, how many years in, so 7 years, but how many years were you
Sure.
in to make for 7 years ago?
Okay, so that's a great question. So it depends on when you want to count when I started DJing.
Wherever you want.
I started DJing when I was
At
18. I'm 44. Okay, so like that was 96. So
Yep.
like I finished grad school in 2005-ish. I moved to New York in 2008. I'm still not knowing what I'm going to be, right? I know
Yeah.
I'm now, when I look back in hindsight, I see all the pieces that are on the
Yeah.
table. I was like, I have education. I am good at DJing. It's working. I'm good at like people and connecting. I didn't realize and I managed my own career, which was the best asset to my whole career that I didn't realize at the time. I hated it for a long time because I was like, why can nobody manage my career better than I can?
Well.
Why can't anybody help me get further? But every time I try to do it, it never really goes well. And I had issues with all of these things because they had them all as separate like pods, right?
Yep.
And then I realized, and it's ironic that it happened right around when my son was born. So I was really thinking about like, how do I future-proof, no pun intended, and add like longevity to this career? What can I really do? And so I changed everything, but also kept everything exactly the same. And by that I mean, so my DJ name, don't laugh. It was DJ Mick Boogie.
Everyone laugh.
Very great, like 1996 in a dorm room in Cleveland, Ohio name. And it got me far. It got me enough to like have a career and all that. But where it started to hurt me was as I stepped into like who I am now, which was, again, in retrospect, I realized it's always been there the whole time, like where I could do panels and talks or like, you know, entrepreneurial things and all of that. I had a name that was holding me back, right? And so when I started getting all of these opportunities, like these sort of things, and I was on a panel just like this in maybe 2013 or 14, and it was all these successful entrepreneurs and amazing people like you three, and then they got to me, and they said, DJ Mick Boogie, and everybody laughed, right? because
laugh.
because you should. Yeah, we should recreate this moment. Then I should just go like just drink. But it changed my whole perspective. I was like, holy shit, like this is not good. Like I'm not going to be able to get as far as I want to get with these non-DJ related opportunities if I have a name that sounds like a DJ from 1996. So that's where, like, ironically, the joke, but like Mick was like, I was just like, what do I do? Do I use my last name? Do I do like nobody can pronounce my name? It's just like really confusing. And I was just like, I'm just gonna like drop the first thing I did, drop the DJ. You don't need to. If you're a financial advisor, you don't say I'm financial advisor Doug. Like,
right.
You don't need the
only on Saturdays.
Only on Saturdays, or you don't need that before your name because we all do a million things, right? And hopefully we all do them well and with integrity, right? And then my last name, like, just fuck that. And so I just kept the Mick. And when I dropped that, right, all of a sudden I just saw how all the other pieces start to fit together. So now my DJing opportunities increased because I didn't just have to do like the hip hop stuff anymore. I could DJ some Google party on some like yacht or something like that. But like still playing hip hop the entire time, by the way. My music hasn't changed. Right. But like the perception of what I do changed. And then I could do like the speaking things and investing in it. So all of that, when I never, what's this, like stepped into your true self? Like it took all of those moments of like where I could have just, I thought I was going to have to stop. Or I thought I was just going to have to just move into something else if I wanted to try to like add longevity to my
this
career.
part's done. There's
and what
no
I
way to
realized
reinvent
was
that.
just by tweaking the brand and tweaking like, the story of how, like, and it's more authentic than the story I was telling for all those years. Because now I'm actually doing all the shit that I wanted to do, learned, has been doing for myself the whole time. I'm able to do that now on a much broader scope because I had that moment where I was like, it was an embarrassing moment. It turned into like a great moment.
So there's Mick's aha moment, and the expression "what's in a name." You think about branding for a second, and that's your first impression, what you hear or what you see, sometimes what you taste or smell, right? So that's very impressive, and I appreciate you sharing that moment. Sometimes it's just a little tweak that gets you pointed in the right direction after working so hard to get to that moment, which brings us to George. You do a lot of stuff. I was looking you up, and it was just a litany of activity and success, and I want to hear from you. I think what I want to hear from you is, if it's okay, we were talking a second ago about the videos you were doing in 2010, and you look back and like it either made you laugh or cringe. Like bring us down that vein a little bit in terms of maybe some things you did wrong that you immediately fixed and got right, or just the consistency that came out of being bold enough to try that stuff, and then how you were able to take the wins and losses together to turn it into the stuff that did succeed. So that's kind of like the grab bag of all these things, and then we'll move on to the next step in our conversation.
No, absolutely. And so for many of the folks here that are advisors, right, it's kind of an interesting time because I was talking to somebody else, and like when you start down the process of building a brand, really you have three things that you're doing all at the same time, right? Number one, you're the professional who's delivering the value proposition of your service. Number two, you have to be operationally sound to run the business of your financial planning, right?
Actual
Whether you own the IRA or whatever the case may be, right? And now you have to be this quote unquote public figure, right? So it can be a lot, right? But what most people do wrong is that they lead with the back end part of like, okay, I have to be the best advisor. Like that's table stakes, right? You have to be good at what you do.
Correct.
Right? So continuing to tell people about how great you are about being an advisor isn't going to go that far. The thing that really shifting everything for me was understanding that who you serve doesn't have to be who pays you. Right? If we look at the most prominent celebrities, Kevin Hart's of the world. Kevin Hart has a partnership with Chase. Do you think he knows more about money than anybody here? I mean, probably not. No knock to Kevin Hart. But it's because that he built the brand. Right? When you look at the heart of serving first, right, providing value, you're not necessarily trying to get direct response every single time you put out a piece of content. It's like, how can I provide value to where now my name is getting spread around everywhere so that even when someone thinks about personal finance, wealth building, entrepreneurship, right, my name comes up in the conversation. Then, of course, there's a filtration process to determine if it makes sense for you to be a client or not, right? But lead with value first, and then the opportunities that you're going to attract from that are going to be, transformative. But I think so many people want to focus on how can I convert this person into a potential client versus how can I add value, right, and get my brand, get my name out there, which is going to attract a whole slew of folks and a whole slew of opportunities that you didn't even think about. Because while we love the career of finance, we're not compartmentalized human beings. There's probably other things that we're passionate about. And if we give ourselves the grace to brand ourselves in a way that invite people into our journey,
Yeah.
they're gonna see, they like you. You're a great advisor, but I like you as a person. Can I line to have a podcast, right? So now I get podcast sponsorships, right? So it's like that would have never happened if I didn't lead with the intent of serving first and providing value, knowing that all of my however many listeners, they're not gonna be clients,
Yeah.
right? But now when the topic of personal finance,
I listened to this podcast by this great FA, this great professional. Check it out or call him.
right? And it just becomes a trickle down effect,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if I directly answered your question.
No, you did. You did. My job's to pull out the nuggets and deliver them to you guys. Look at what happened here with focusing on attracting the audience that you can deliver value to. That's the win, right? So I think a lot of times we brand and want to feed our egos a lot. I know I did this a lot myself in order to get the people that you don't need to be delivering value to, right? Because you want them to like you and accept you in the community. That's not the end user here. You're very successful at doing that. Let's flip it. Let's flip it. Not to feed your egos any more than I'm going to do for the rest of this panel. I want to know what you think you do better than most. And not that you all need to say, oh, I need to do that. I need to do that. This is very unique to each of you. And it's not a flex. It's just, I want you guys to see from them when they identified what a strength was and how they were able to either double, triple, down on that, expose that, use that as the lead for their brands. And I'll go middle out. Mick, any Silicon Valley? No, okay, never mind. We'll start here with Mick. Tell me about that.
Is middle out a finance term?
No, it was a Silicon Valley reference.
Oh,
I was hoping we had some fans in the crowd. Yeah, I see someone back there. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, didn't totally bomb.
Sure. First of all, your shirt's amazing. That Lauryn Hill shirt, that's really clever and awesome. Very cool. Is that your company? No, it should be. It is now.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. A brand has been built.
Pre-order.
Yeah. Like we need. Let's get her in some photos. Very cool. Anyways, so my what was your question? What is the thing?
What do you think? What do you think your competitive advantage is, or what you do really well that has given you an edge, and how have you gone about, double, tripling down on that or exploiting that to your advantage?
So I think when I look back in retrospect of my entire career, dating back to when I was just collecting music in high school and then becoming a DJ all the way up to what I'm doing now, I think I was really good at curating things. I know that's really that word's way past the buzzword status, but I was as a DJ, we're naturally good at that. And we're naturally good at seeing how to connect dots that other people don't see. I know what song I want to play at 1 o'clock of a party. I know what song I want to play at 2:30 of a party. And so I got to figure out how to get there. And then I also got to look around. And if I look around a room, especially a room like this, where it's just every age, every race, every gender, how the fuck do I do that? Right? Because if I have one group of people and everybody looks the same, my job's a lot easier. It's not easy. People think DJing is easy. If you're a good DJ, it comes easy to you, but it's not an easy job. I don't care what people say. But when you have a global audience of people, you have to really, kind of put your brain in trying to connect all these dots and make everybody feel like every moment's just for them. But it's not. It's for you. It's for you. It's for you too. And I have to try to connect all of that and make that work. And so that's really what my skill set is. It's not can the records mix on beat. Now with computers, you don't even have to do that.
Can you get the vibe? Can you get vibe identification?
Right. Can I do all of that? And and then there's a consumer behavior asset to it as well, where it's just can I reach all of you? That's step one. Step two is, can I make you all do what I want you to do at the time I want you to do it? Which is very
Don't you just scream, put your hands up in the air, and everybody just
but
puts their hands up in the air?
I could do it musically, right? And I could take people on a journey, and I could I could make you fight. I could make you look at the person you're dancing next to and maybe ask them out on a date. I could make you do all sorts of crazy shit. I realized
y'all gotta be careful.
Yeah, don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. But I realized that actually it's funny. When I first started DJing. I was in Cleveland, Ohio. I was 23. I did a party at a skating rink. I was on a radio station at the time. They sent me to do this skating party, and I just didn't want to be there. And the money sucked, and everything sucked. And this was the Master P Bout It era of stuff. And if you played 4 of those songs in a row, people would fight. right?
Yeah.
So I was
It
like, I
makes them
played
choose
two of those
violence.
in a row, and it's like people started getting aggressive. And I'm not proud of this moment now.
Yeah.
But I saw a kid take his fucking skate off. So I went with song number 3.
Yeah.
And he's like Wonder Woman with a lasso.
Yeah.
And I was home 20 minutes later, got all my money. And it was fantastic. and at that moment, I realized the power of what we have. And I was like, so, you extrapolate that with a lot more maturity 20 years later. And I've realized that my ability to connect dots and see things can apply itself in different ways, whether that's personal brand, whether that's like working with startup founders, things of that nature. Like, what can I see? How can my brain see little things that connect dots that you can't? And I realized that's the skill set I've had my entire life.
Reading human behavior, getting deep into the psychology of things and connecting to your audience in a way better than most. That seems what it is. Y'all got to be careful. Before you know it, you'll be whipping out financial calculators and beating each other over the heads with them. Thank you for your laughter. Sandra, same to you here. Would love to know, same thing. Give it to us.
Yeah. One of my superpowers is listening. It's something that I feel is lost amongst people because they are experts and professionals in what they do. And so when they are faced with a problem, they're like, oh, well, here's the solution. But oftentimes, if you listen deeper, I remember doing a 2-hour discovery with a client, and we were about to take her brand in one direction. But the more we listened to her story, and then she got back into like her grandparents and their legacy, we're like, well, this is the brand right here.
Yeah.
And it's about taking that time to be able to listen, and I'm really good at that. And even though I'm an introvert, I'm really strong at building relationships.
Yeah.
Deep, meaningful relationships. It's not just about connecting with people because I want to connect. It's not just about being a social butterfly. It's about, how can we, like George was saying, deliver value? How can I bring myself to the table in a way that would bring you value? And then how can I make it mutually beneficial, which is huge. Working with the media, you don't want to just go and say, hey, tell my story. You want to help them do their job as much as possible.
Couldn't agree more.
So if I'm reading their articles and I'm on their Twitter, I know a whole lot more about them than I would know than if I'm just sending out e-blasts. So finding out as much as possible about your target, who you're trying to build a relationship with. And again, it's not about having a relationship with everybody. If you get a subscriber list of 20,000 people, great, but what do you know about these people?
Right.
One of the things that we do as well is we do newswire distribution. And it's effective in raising awareness, but I don't know who's reading my press release.
Right.
And I don't know if they're acting on it. And so, it's great if you want to raise awareness, but again, it's about that deep, meaningful relationship, and that comes through listening. What do I know about you? What more can we bring to the table to be able to deliver value?
I love that. And to marry the two concepts that we heard here, it's very much about the who, right? Who are you branding to? Yeah. Almost everything is going to originate around that idea. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of time is spent just identifying. As financial advisors, a good friend of mine early in my career would say, whose hand do you want to hold? Who do you want to be with? Where can you deliver that value to? How do you get that feeling here, there, and how do you translate that into a brand that people can associate with that? Mm-hmm. Hopefully doing a good job of getting all of these themes together. I keep sticking you last here, George.
It's all good.
Pile on.
Okay.
What do you do? What do you do great?
Yeah, I'm really good at taking, I guess the way I would articulate it is the intersection of complexity and culture.
Okay.
Right.
Walk me through that. Walk us through that.
Yeah. So like when we think about our industry, right, we're talking about a lot of things that people don't understand, at least where I come from, right?
There's no shortage of jargon here, guys.
Right.
Even our layman's terms is usually jargon. It's insane.
Right. And so you figure, you got all these complex topics, estate planning, like all this stuff that people don't really wrap their head around. And so I'm really good at thinking of a grand idea that people can relate to, whether it be from a cultural context perspective or something that's tangible to them, and creating an intersection to where it's practical, right?
Yep.
Because oftentimes, to your point, as advisors, we're trying to flex our intellectual prowess so our peers can pat us on the back.
Yeah.
Right?
All the time.
Those aren't your clients,
nah.
Right? How can I distill this message down to where the average everyday person can grasp it, right? So, for example, I also have a financial education company as well that runs parallel to the firm. And we recently did a challenge where we had over 700 people go through the challenge, and all of them are getting, who didn't have life insurance before, didn't have an estate plan, all of them are getting a trust and a will and a life insurance policy. Awesome. 700 people of color, and then one challenge, right? but it was because of the way it was articulated. It wasn't this grand, like, complex, me trying to let you know how smart I am, right? And it was set up in a way to where it was more about them than it was about us, right? Like helping them connect the dots on why it was valuable. So I'm really good at taking those topics that seem more complex and distilling it down in a way to where people can latch onto it and ultimately get results. I think the way I kind of joke about it is I'm able to trick people into building wealth. And
love it. We love those games when they're set up for us.
right. And the way that I'm able to do that is understanding human psyche a little bit, right? People will do more for recognition than they will for money.
Correct.
And when you understand that, how can I use that not to exploit the people I'm trying to serve, but use it as a leverage mechanism? So, for example, like, I'm not sure how many people we have in here that are marketers or digital marketers or whatever, but there's a popular software called ClickFunnels. And the software it's okay. It's nothing spectacular. I think it's okay. But why do people hold on to the software? Because they have a conference every year. It's next week. And people get to walk across the stage if they have a certain dollar amount of sales that they've had through the funnel.
Right.
Everybody loves recognition. Everybody wants to be recognized. So how can I create a model or a process where I'm celebrating and recognizing people that are coming through my ecosystem? So with that challenge, there's going to be an event in December. We're going to celebrate those people, everybody, which is going to incentivize them to actually execute.
Right.
Because sometimes people get excited. We've all experienced it as advisors. Someone signs on the dotted line. They become your client. They get hung up in onboarding.
Yeah.
Life happens, right?
Yeah.
So how can you create an incentive-based system?
Dangle the
right,
carrot.
that speaks to them. Like, so for them, it's like, hey, like the event is included as a part of the challenge, but you can only attend if you actually get the trust done, if you actually get the life insurance policy done, right?
Absolutely love that.
So understanding how we can celebrate, honor people within what we do, because what I found is that motivates people. And instead of me using it as a mechanism to exploit people, right? Like get you to buy a nice car because it's a status symbol, I'm getting you to do things that you need to do anyway and just incentivizing you along the way.
I love that. It makes me think of building bridges. That's what it is. Bridging people from often the complex and cumbersome world of what we do as advisors and wealth management professionals, where I just joke like we have jargon for jargon, and you create a bridge to a world in which people exist in. And that marries very nicely to understanding the behavioral and psychological components of how to reach people, being a good listener so you can figure out what to deliver in the first place. We're off to a really good start here, but now we're just going to completely change it up. For those of you who know, I'm very passionate about social media. I get to make people laugh, hopefully, more than anything else. And I want to know from you guys, when it comes to social media, I feel like everyone's always trying, and I was always so eager to build that brand on social because, you get dopamine hits for it. You get instant it's the immediate feedback loop. You put something out, you can find out a reaction right then and there, right? Even when you write something, you're like, oh, I'll give it a week, see how many people do it. Right. You tweet something, you post something on Instagram, you use your favorite social media, immediately you might get a reaction out of that. And I sometimes feel like, if we lead here before we build something, we might not get the results that we want. Having said all that, I'd like to know just a little bit about your social media journeys or how you've leveraged social media on top of everything. Where did it slide in for you? How do you use it? Pick one good thing to share with the audience about how you and social media do or don't get along. I would like to know. We're just going to go back the other way now. George, pick us up right from there.
Yeah, great question. The first thing, especially if you don't do social media a lot, is you have to. You ever been on a treadmill and you want to be on there for a certain period of time, but you just kind of cover it up because if you look at the time, it's like, oh my gosh, it's only been 2 minutes.
Countdown.
I don't know what's longer, a microwave minute when you're hungry or a treadmill minute when you're tired.
That's a great takeaway quote for today. I'm gonna steal that one.
I don't know which one is long, but if I say that to say, when you're on social media, right, you gotta detach yourself from the result of the metrics. I can go back. I haven't archived anything.
Yeah.
I can go back to posts, no likes, 0 likes, 2 comments, no comments, right? But it's just all you're doing is you're putting in reps, right? You have to detach yourself from the outcome.
Right.
It's the first thing about social media. The second thing is you have to be authentic and you have to have fun, right? You have to be authentic and you have to have fun.
To do it yourself, I agree. Because if you're not having fun doing it, it's gonna suck a lot.
100%.
Yeah. You don't have to do it. Just recognizing that is important.
But if you are doing it yourself, right, you have to have fun because it is going to suck, right? And the bigger reason is because, remember, right, in this now decentralized virtual world that we're in, social media becomes an insight to who you are. People aren't just hiring you because you're the best advisor, right? Again, being good at what you do is table stakes at this point, right? So telling your advisor how much better you are than this firm and if that's your only point of differentiation, good luck.
Yeah.
right? So it invites people in to understand who you are. Like, oh, I want to work with that person because I like them. They're cool, and they're also good at what they do.
Yes.
So being able to showcase that a little bit is fun. It doesn't have to be this boring, sticky. I mean, I get requests for clients all the time, and my social media isn't just like, hey, this is what I do, and this is how I do it, and this is what I provide, right? You can show up and be yourself and invite people into glimpses of who you are, because something about who you are is going to resonate with them more than your service anyway.
100%.
Right?
100%.
And so just being sure to be okay. You don't have to do it, but being okay intertwining your personal identity, right? Because people are selling better than brands, right? The whole reason why social media is so powerful is because in what era could you DM the CEO of a company, right? You didn't even know who the CEO was half the time.
Right.
Right? And so now it's like, oh man, I can actually connect with these people. I can touch them. They're reachable, right? That's the person I might work with. And even if they're not personally working with you because you set your firm up in such a way where maybe you have other advisors or whatever the case may be, the joke I always make is that, you don't walk into Charles Schwab and expect to talk to Charles, right? But people, there's a certain ethos, a certain ecosystem, something that people who like Charles Schwab, right? Brand value, whatever, that it still attracts them. So even if you're not the one who's working with every single client that might come to your firm, what can you put out from a brand standpoint that will resonate, right, with the people that your firm is trying to attract, and make sure that that culture is transferable inside your firm. So have fun.
I like it.
Be authentic, and that's really much.
I like it. I like thinking about it as an opportunity to showcase an authentic version of yourself, what you're into, what you do, and then have the courage to not care about the vanity metrics, right? The likes and all of that, because if you get in the reps and you're consistent with the thing you love to do, you get results. That's how it works. That's how it works. You're very visible. You DJ. I can only imagine how awesome this would work on Instagram or Reels or video content, let alone the fact that it's an audio experience because it's music.
But it's funny, I don't do that because that's
tell me why.
Exactly,
tell me why.
Because
you're blowing my mind. What are you doing wrong?
That is what I actually don't want to do that. Like I don't want to lean into being like 100% DJ related content on my social, because that's not actually what my life is.
It's not 100%
like,
you. It's not.
It's not. Like
not your identity.
I'm lucky if I DJ on a good week twice a week. Mm-hmm. People there's the other 40 hours a week I have to work to get those two opportunities right. But like they're not nearly as cool and sexy as like.
And it doesn't come from posting pictures on the internet?
No, absolutely not. But
right.
See, what's interesting is about how I try to put myself out there is that like I try to, rather than go like 110% for like one specific thing, like would I get more DJ gigs if I had 100% DJ related content? Probably. Would I be as happier from an entrepreneurial perspective or a personal perspective or as a human being? Absolutely not. So like I try to diversify my content to be 100% reflective of my actual life. So there's more pictures of my wife and my kid on my Instagram than of me DJing.
I noticed that.
More sneaker pictures. It's like, I mean, I do everything for them and they do everything for me, right?
Love it.
So like that's just how we roll. And so it's just like if you don't rock with them, then you're probably not going to get along with me, right? And I'm going to tell you, like, yeah, I need 5 minutes for sound check because my kid's walking into school right now and I got to FaceTime. I'm like, that's just, I'm sure you're the same way. Like, that's just what it is. And so, like, I put that out there very, 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 very much part of my story first and foremost, because that's my why, to use like a little colloquial word there.
We do it for the kids.
And the other thing is, like, I think when I started doing that, was like, rather than, yes, I've missed out on some DJ specific opportunities, whatever, but like the sum, my overall sum is much greater than the whole I would have had if one of those did it. Because like if I could have, if I talk about like DJing, business, family, and just like fun cultural stuff, right? Those aren't breaking down in 425s. I might get like a 27 to 20. It's going to my sum is greater than 100 by me putting myself out across the board authentically in those different things. And what I lose, and then I have to just trust God and the universe and timing and all of that stuff to know that what I miss out on one of those things because I didn't go full on in it, I make it back in the other ways. But it gets to go to your other point, it gets frustrating, right? Because we do live in this instant world, and we do live in this
instant gratification
dopamine
world.
Infested like bullshit where you press a button and then you just want, if it doesn't go astronomical in the first 5 minutes, you're like, should I edit it? Should I change it? Should I just delete it? Should I archive it? And I do that too sometimes, but it gets frustrating to the point that like I don't have Instagram on my phone for 22 hours out of the day, man. Like I deleted it so much I had to call Instagram and have to I can't even log in now using my email and my password. I have to log into Instagram using some weird backwards ass Facebook shit.
Yeah.
So like I don't even know how to do it. I don't my password doesn't work anymore because I take it off my phone and on so much.
Right.
But it's for my sanity, right? And it's a line of business for
be a
me.
struggle.
But I have to like take it off because like if I don't want to fall into that rat race, even though it sustains me. But then the other thing to your point is it only takes one person to see the thing that's like you think is failing and that can change your life or change your day or change your opportunity.
Yes.
Like even for me, like my Twitter interaction is horrible. It's like if I get more than 3 likes and 1 retweet, like it's like an amazing day for me. Unlike yours, maybe you can teach me some shit though. But the thing is like
it's called the crippling addiction. Okay.
The what?
It's called the crippling addiction. I don't know if you want it.
When I posted that I was going to be here on Twitter, like on Instagram it did well. People are like, oh, this is cool. The flyers are visual. I don't know if you guys saw this gentleman, Tony, painted pictures of everybody for this entire conference. I was like, yo, how long did that take you? He's like, long enough that I'll never do it again. And I was like, hey, he's so incredible at his
right.
It's just incredible, right? So I put it on Twitter. Nobody cares. Complete crickets. But the one person who saw was somebody I'd been trying to connect with that I've known through social for a long time. This amazing woman, Brooke, who just did her podcast on that stage right over there.
Right, I saw you
She's
there.
like a legendary, iconic publicist for the who's who of tech. And if you look her up, her story is fantastic. And she was just like, oh, I'm doing a live podcast there. Do you want to be my guest? Now, keep in mind, nobody saw that tweet. I should have deleted it. She happened to see it at that exact moment. She's not somebody that's going to book me for a gig or put my kid in a campaign or send me a sneaker. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
She just happened to see it at the exact moment because she's part of this ecosystem. That podcast was amazing. I'm absolutely going to get opportunities because I was on her thing.
Unreal.
That wouldn't have happened if I still didn't say, I know this just not going to do nothing when I press this button, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to be consistent because this is what I always do. And if it didn't happen at that exact moment, because it was supposed to happen right
Yes.
there.
So the return on investment of a failed tweet was 10,000% right there.
Right.
What you
But
thought
it
was a failed.
And it makes up for the other 364 days where everything was crickets.
Yes.
And so that's why you have to stay consistent and just stay authentic and try. It's a corny word, but it's very true.
Mick, that was a wild ride through social media. But I give you a lot of credit for figuring out what works for you, knowing what's too much, what's too little, and where to find the value out of doing it. Those two things mesh well. We're going to do the same question here. If we have time, I'm going to preload it. It's where do you think the puck is going, and what do you think you're going to need to do to stay relevant? I just want that one thought. But before we go there, I want to hear your social media, Sandra, your social media experience here. You got plenty of time, no hurry.
Yeah.
But tell me, where do you find success, your do likes and don't likes? Mm-hmm. Have at it.
I'm going to start with a disclaimer.
Yes.
I'm horrible on social media.
Okay.
Don't look at my social media as an indication of what I can do for my clients.
Yes.
Because it's really a consistency game.
Right.
If you decide you're going to post once a month on a Tuesday, the second Tuesday of every month, consistently.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be every day. And that's what I think a lot of people get into. It's like, well, I have to keep posting. And it goes back to the conversation about delivering value. It's fine if you want to post 3 times a day every day, but what are you sharing with people?
Right.
And so for me, I can't say I post a certain day every week, but I post regularly. And then, events like this, you might think that you would see tons of pictures and I met this person and that, but I'm really not that person. But for clients, when you start to introduce that strategic element to it, that's where it becomes fun. Because I'm looking at you, like it's hard for me to sell myself. It's the classic case of the shoemaker's shoes.
Yes.
It's much harder for me to sell
Good
myself than to sell somebody else. And so when I get into the nitty-gritty of who you are and who your audience is and what kind of content are they looking for, now it becomes a beautiful thing because we're delivering value. We're giving people what they actually want. And so it's really about, again, listening, knowing your client, knowing your customer. But even on my business Instagram, right? Because I'm so busy doing hard work for my clients. You don't want to see me do it.
And real quick, that's the thing. Behind filter, you can filter away reality on a platform like that, and totally not see the work and the grinding and all the effort that goes into it. I mean, it can really do that. And I want y'all pay particular attention to that right
Nobody
there.
wants to see you sit at a computer all day. Like, could you imagine? Like, could you
For my
imagine? if
yeah,
that's
can-
all any of us
for
were?
my
I can't
financial
imagine.
advisors in the room, can you imagine if it was pictures of what we actually do
We
during
should all
the
do that for
day?
a week as like an experiment.
Unfollow,
no engagement.
block
See
that
how the
account.
following drift.
Yeah, of course
us
not.
sitting.
Yeah, and when you think about the
Look
time,
at that trade.
the time to put together a proper social media strategy, right? I remember I used to do YouTube videos.
Yes.
And it would take me at least 12 to 15 hours to edit a 4-minute
Yeah,
video.
love that.
Right? And
yeah.
this is just what I'm putting on my YouTube. I
Yes.
haven't reconditioned it for Instagram or TikTok or anything else.
Right.
And it's really a huge time investment if you're doing it well. But I like what Mick Boogie was saying about
Can't hire her now.
showing more of your life and who you are on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a DJ, but at the same time, you know, I'm married, I have children, I like to go snorkeling, because that's where you find a common thread.
Right.
If you're targeting a certain client, great, you can give me a service, but if you go golfing and I go golfing, now there's something that we can connect on. So it's about really finding that commonality. You know, how can I be more social? Like I like how Facebook put all these things in place to keep it as a social thing, and you're not constantly selling. Even when we're trying to do ads, you can't have too many words on there.
Yep.
It's really conditioned so that we're doing things from a social point of view and not always trying to sell.
Awesome. So I was really hoping to fire off this last round of questions, but I see the stick, coming to put the cane to pull me off stage. A few things to end this on. The first one is a big thank you to the panel up here for sharing these insights. A round of applause for them. It is a very dynamic view, both in and outside of the profession, and I hope you're able to walk away today with some things that you can do for your business, your brand, and your marketing efforts. Really just getting started. I think being your authentic self is one of the biggest things, no matter what you're doing or how you're doing it, or what platform you want to do it on. Have fun, be yourself. You hear this all the time before you go, you're a little league. Oh, get out there and have fun. It's still true to this day. So thank you guys for sharing all of those stories with me. And you'll just have to come back to Future Proof again to hear us talk about, where the future is going, what we need to do to continue to have that success. So again, big round of applause for everybody up here. Thank you for joining our panel today. Have an amazing time with the rest of Future Proof. Bye, guys.